Hey folks, so this is Professor Diffley. This is Philosophy 201, Module 3, Lecture Video 2. This is continuing with our discussion of utilitarianism. Like I said, there were some problems with Bentham's as we left off in the last video. It wasn't, some said, it'd be hard to figure all this out. There's all this list. Also, it seems like it could be open to a lot of bad things, right? Again, the idea that I can break into your house, but somehow be that's a good act because I somehow saved you, even though that was my goal. But we'll look at some of those criticisms. But others tried to build on utilitarianism. So let's look at this. John Stuart Mill, J.S. Mill, the next to really build upon and most influential, build upon Bentham's concept of utilitarianism. So again, this is a 19th century philosopher and a political scientist and others. So he built upon, expanded the work. This is all called theological ethics. You can see that in the textbook. There's also, it's in the textbook. There's links out to it. Theological ethics there. And what does this mean? Based on the good that results. So theological just means we're worried about the consequences. Deontological ethics means we're worried about following the rules, right? So that's a good way to look at it. So anything that is consequentialist is theological. Anything where it's rules-based, like Kantian ethics, it's deontological. And again, so just recapping that. So Mill's utilitarianism. So he also believes that the only desirable ends for human beings, right? Well, what are the things we should look out for in life? Is pleasure, i.e. happiness, and freedom from pain, the absence of pleasure, right? That's what we're looking for. So that's what's going to motivate us. These should be all of our human goals, is to gain pleasure and avoid pain. And that should be not just for ourselves, but for everyone. So he believed that we're irrational and that we would actually make decisions more than our basest pleasures. What are our basest pleasures? These are things like, really what most people criticize hedonism for is the idea you're just looking for instant gratification and happiness, and that could lead to things like, abuse of drugs, alcohol, food, things like that, right? So things in two greatest. It's usually, another way, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, that sort of thing. He says that, most people are rational, and while those things are appealing or can be appealing, we're smart enough to know that we shouldn't go over the edge with that. It's up to you whether or not you believe that. Maybe we are as a majority of people. Maybe we're not. I'm not sure, but that's up to you to judge. So what he's looking for here, and what his big add to all this is trying to qualitative utilitarianism, right? Bentham's is quantitative, right? Why? He just wants the total pleasure, quantitative. So what's the total number, if we could put it that way? Mill's going to say no. It's the quality also is crucial to deciding what is moral. So not just looking at total happiness, overall number, but some things are going to be ranked higher than others. And I alluded to this in another video, lecture video 1 here. So he's going to say there are higher pleasures, that these are the ones that are supposed to make us grow as human beings intellectually. Things like poetry, reading, attending theater. That is what he's going to say is the things we should really focus upon, these higher pleasures. Lower pleasures are more animalistic. So, things like drinking, sex, or lazy, just, sitting around. No, he's not going to say those things aren't pleasurable. They certainly are, but he's saying, you can't put those above other things. This is what I was talking about before. There's nothing wrong with playing video games, but it's the only thing you do and nothing else. We could see how that might be a problem. I like to have a drink, but I don't drink all the time. Why? Because I wouldn't be able to function. It's dangerous, things like that, right? There are other things that are more valuable to my life, to what I consider good, what I'm trying to accomplish, right? Again, not bashing video games. I like video games, but you realize you still gotta do other stuff, right? You got other responsibilities, and that sort of thing. So there's some things that are more important, but these are what he was gonna pick, so we should rank them. So when we're doing here is we should aim for these higher pleasures. So he's going to say, what causes unsatisfactory life? These are really how he comes up. It's really selfishness, right? Is one of the biggest things. Defined as caring for nobody but oneself, right? And it leads to unhappiness because it lacks both public and private affections. What he's saying there is we're social creatures, right? If we are completely selfish, we'll drive others away, and that's not really a happy life. We need others. We are social creatures. We need friends. We need family. We need companions. That sort of thing. The other thing he says is it's not just selfishness. It's also lack of mental cultivation. This is what you might call intellectual curiosity here, right? Of wanting to know why things are, right? I'm assuming, and based on what you guys wrote for why you're taking this class, it's because you have mental curiosity, this curiosity. You do not lack mental cultivation. You're taking this because you want to know things. You want to learn. You're in school because, it's going to help you get a job. It's also going to help you learn things, right? That's what he's talking about here. So, and a person with a cultivated mind has a broad interest, right? They can see value in lots of things, and in nature, art, history, and things like that, and they could look to the future. Those who aren't intellectually curious, they're indifferent to these things, and that leads them unhappiness because they can't really see beyond a bigger world around them. But these are what he says is going to lead to unsatisfactory lives. And he believes most humans would see this. Again, he believes they're rational beings, humans. And so that they'll automatically, or most of us will try not to follow those basis instincts. Just some of him in the golden rule. You've all always heard this. The golden rule, do unto others as you do unto yourself. Most philosophers are going to say that's a very bad rule. Why? Well, think about that. Do unto others as you would have done unto yourselves. The way most of us were taught that is, right, we want to be treated well, so we should treat others well. But that's assuming that everybody's good and that everybody wants to be treated the same way you do, which is not really the case. And I mean, you tell me, do you think really everybody out there in the world is good? And let's put it this way. What if I really enjoy killing? And that's right. So that's what makes me. That's how I think is the best. So do unto others, you have to unto yourself. If I think it's okay to kill, then that's the golden rule, that it's okay to kill. Is that what you guys were thinking about with the golden rule? Probably not. Probably not the way you're taught to us. So he would argue we should fix this, right? Let's add conditions to it. Laws and social arrangements should place the happiness of every individual in harmony with the interests of the whole. So what does that mean? Everybody matters, right? We should have an equality thing here. And education opinion should use their power over human character, establish that indissoluble association between zoning happiness and the whole. So he's looking for, what does this mean? It's mouthfuls here. Remember, it's 19th century writing. Number one, he's saying, is we should value everybody equally. Everybody should be equal. And we should value everybody's happiness the same. So if I'm happy, that also means that it should lead to happiness in others, right? If the whole society is happy, that's better. That's what he's arguing here. So that's that. So here's the thing, happiness versus the individual. Again, it's saying we need to be strictly impartial. He's focusing on reconciling happiness of the many with the happiness of the individual. He really wants us to see that our happiness is tied up in us being social creatures here. And again, so the more a person sees his or her own happiness in a way that also enhances the happiness of others, it's more likely to create greater total happiness, right? So what does this mean? That we should not be looking out for just ourselves all the time. Why? Because if everybody's doing that, he would argue, and many philosophers would argue, is we're just looking out for ourselves. That's a bad world to live in, right? And it's everybody for himself, him or herself. Cutthroat, stab people in the back. It's a world we don't want to live in, and it's hard to trust. Now, not saying we live in a perfect world where we don't have to look out for ourselves, but hopefully you also see, right, that when good things come to everybody around you, it's usually good for everybody, right? The world's a better place when everybody's happy. We want, right? Say if the government passes a law, we want it to benefit everybody, not just, say, the elites or something like that. I hope that's that makes sense in what he's arguing here. So, other things in here about this, and this one, the act versus rule utilitarianism. These are two ways to break down utilitarianism as well. This only cares about the consequences, right? So this act utilitarianism, and this is discussed in the crash course video. You'll see in the crash course video, it shows both Mill and Bentham under act utilitarianism. Mill later changes more to rule utilitarianism. But just know, if you're going to think act utilitarianism, this is really the way Bentham thought it, the simplest form of it. Only the consequences of our actions matter. You should choose the action that produces the greatest good for the greatest number. Doesn't matter what the act is, right? And you can see the crash course video for more about this there. That's what it just matters, the outcome. That's it, not the act itself. So the most famous example of this is the trolley problem, which again you can see on the there's 2 videos on it. I have it here. So this is really the act utilitarians focus on the outcome can lead to odd examples and maybe objection raising. Here is the trolley problem is simple as there's a train going down tracks. Trains, you can direct it from one track to the other by pushing a lever. You are next to the lever. The train is going down the track. Right now, if you do nothing, it is going to kill 5 people. However, if you push this switch, it will go onto another track and kill only 1 person. So you have a choice. You have to act. You could either do nothing and let 5 people die, or you could pull this lever and save 4 lives and only kill 1. What do? Well, utilitarianism says you got to pull that lever. You got to kill that other person on the other line. And it don't matter who it is. It could be your family. It could be something like that. The whole goal here is greatest good for the greatest number. Clearly, saving 5 people and killing 1 is better. That's what it'd argue. Now, there's variations on this. Say instead of a switch, the only way to stop the train, it will redirect the train, is if you push a very large individual in front of the train. So if I push this person, if I do nothing, the train's going to go and kill 5 people. If I push this large person in front of the train, it will kill that person and stop the train. So what do? Utilitarian says, you push that person in front of that train. Which sounds like murder, you throw them in front of that train because it means 5 people don't die. So a net gain of 4 lives. What do? Let me ask you this. Is there a difference between pulling the lever and pushing some random person in front of a train? What do you think? Actually think about that for the blog, but think that. Now, there are other examples of this. You can see in other ways. All right, what if I'm going in I'm walking in the woods, somewhere, just imaginary place, and I come upon a group of soldiers, and they have a bunch of people round up. There's 20 people there. They're about to execute them. For some crazy reason, the captain of the leader of the military group hands me a pistol and says, here's the option. We kill all 20 of these people, or you shoot one of them. Choose one of them, shoot him in the head. Which do you do? Now, again, remember this, and this is going to be really important on the blogs. Do not change the scenario here. A lot of people say, well, I take the gun and shoot the captain. Yeah, that's not an option here. Just, this is a thought experiment. You have to stay within the experiment. So what do? You're given a gun. You can either watch 20 people be executed. You don't know if they're guilty, innocent, whatever. Or you can take the gun and shoot one of those people in the face and save 19. What do? What do you think utilitarianism says you should do? Should you shoot that random person in the head? You do, it saves 19 people. That would be considered immoral. But does that sit well with you? Why or why not? What do you think? I don't want to go too much more into that because it's going to be part of the blog thing. I don't want to influence you in any way beyond that. So just think about that, though, going forward. Again, what this is saying, act utilitarianism, is sometimes not only should we kill innocent people, we must kill them. So not only is it permitted, it is probably required. And so again, that could be a problem with it. Rule utilitarianism is the opposite. It says we ought to live by rules that lead to the greatest good for the greatest number. So maybe we should draw a line. Maybe shooting one random person in the head to save others is not the way. Why? Because you're committing murder. Yes, you saved other people, but you just took a life that you didn't have, that it wasn't yours to take, would be a view here. Maybe you shouldn't push that person in front of the train. You'll see it's in the text. It'll be in one of the blogs. I'm a doctor. I got 5 patients who all need organs, and they need them right now, and I need it from a healthy patient. I got 6 offices in my practice. 5 of them are filled with sick people, 1 who is healthy. If I kill that healthy person and take his organs, I save 5 people. As a doctor, what should I do? Act utilitarian says, I kill that person even though they don't want to. I kill that person, take their organs, save everybody else. Rule utilitarianism and say, whoa, whoa, whoa. No, that's wrong. You should not be killing someone who's healthy. And again, they're not volunteering to do that. That's wrong. So again, that's that example here. All right, I'll pick up in lecture video 3, and we'll continue with this going forward.